Howdy, howdy, howdy. I think I'm live. I never know. It never flashes up on the screen saying you're live or not. But I know I'm alive. Let me put it a different way. I don't know if I'm broadcasting, but I assume so. If not, you'll tell me or you won't. Welcome, guys, to another episode of Cliff Notes Live, episode number 120. Nice round number, right? Hope y'all are doing all right. Let me start off with a big old SKD 143. I love my wife. I love my kids. I love reality TV fans. And I especially love you guys. Those of you who are out here watching live right now, but also those of you who are watching on replay a little bit later. I don't forget about y'all either. Hope y'all are doing well. Welcome to the first day of spring. Not quite there yet here in Houston. It got such nice weather. And then all of a sudden over the weekend, just when you're ready to get out and celebrate, it got cold. It got into, cold for us down here. Got into, I think, the 40s or so. I felt so bad for all the college kids, well, everyone who's on spring break down in Galveston, and suddenly it's freezing cold. We'll talk about that a little bit. Before we go any further, I just want to see who's out there. Give a quick shout out as well. Calgal, welcome aboard, Calgal. I don't recognize your name, but first one in here, and we'll talk about some weird movies that I watched over the weekend. Welcome, Calgal. Glad to see you out here. Brian, how are you doing, sir? Ma, as always, welcome to you, and thanks for all the help. Keith Franken, hey, Keith, how are you? Cindy, hey, Cindy, how are you as well? Y'all don't know how excited I get when I see all these names I recognize, and new names as well. But seeing old friends every week. I hope y'all are doing well. Kiki, how are you? I hope you're doing well. Michelle Moore as well. Michelle, how are you? Amanda Grace, Amanda Lowe, Vicky Stone, and Wyatt Garrett. Wyatt, how are you doing? Every time I see Wyatt's stories, he's going to see some new country act. Yeah, you've seen them all, haven't you? We just got through with the Houston Rodeo down here. A lot of concerts, different folks and everything. But yeah, you see a lot of them. Let's see who else. I think I said Michelle, but if not, Michelle, welcome again. Tammy Flanagan and Madison Andres. How are you doing, Madison? I'm glad to see all of y'all out here on another Monday evening. Man, 120 episodes. That's what 2 years and 4 months, something like that. So thank you. Before we go any further, y'all know what I'm going to say, right? If you haven't already subscribed to Cliff Notes Live, please consider doing so. You can go out there, hit the subscribe button. You can turn on notifications. You can hit the little thumbs up while you're out there as well. And if you do all that, when I drop the occasional podcast, I don't know, is this guy a podcast? I don't know. It's more video cast or something, but when I drop an episode here that's something other than Cliff Notes Live, you'll get notification of it. Pretty soon, it's going to be Big Brother 25, and then I'll be dropping all kinds of episodes. You'll know when they're out there. So please consider subscribing. Now I'm so ready for it. But we'll talk about that a little bit as well. But yeah, please consider subscribing if you would. All right. A few questions as we get into it. Kiki is saying, hi, everyone. Happy spring. Yeah, it's springtime. We got Easter coming up in what, 2 weeks, 3 weeks? I can't remember. I never can keep track of it. Easter being a variable holiday, I never can keep track of it, but I think we got a few more weeks to go. But Easter and Easter eggs, and then you got Mayflowers and all that, and then it's Big Brother time. So I'm ready for it. So yeah, happy spring to all of y'all. Ma saying my spring break isn't for another 2 weeks. Ma, got anticipation for you, right? Having to sit around and wait. Now, the advantage you have, it will be a little bit nicer weather by the time you finally get to it. I remember doing a few spring breaks here and there. I remember 1 or 2 of them. We went down to Padre Island, which is the very tip of Texas. I think I told y'all last week a little bit. We'd go down there. It's great. We used to go across the border into Mexico. You can't do that anymore. But even down there, sometimes it got a little bit chilly. Again, the ones who were at the beach this week, I'm sure there were people that were out there suffering, but they were still wearing their bikinis, and the guys wearing little skimpy bathing suits just like the women and all that, just to flex a little bit, right? Yeah, I remember when I used to do a little bit of that. But yeah, a little miserable. I was happy to just sit at home, the heater going. Probably the last time we'll run the heater down here for the summer. You don't run the heater too much during the summertime here in Texas. But yeah, well, Ma, enjoy it. You got a little bit longer to go, but that'll be cool. I think most of the spring breaks down here were last week and then the week before, and now it'll tail off just a little bit. But yeah, I remember a few spring breaks here and there. I don't get that anymore. I'd have to work. What would happen if I went and told my boss, "Hey, I need off for spring break"? Probably say take some vacation time, but you aren't getting it out just for free. So anyway, all right, let's see what else we got on here. Cowgal saying, looking at your thumbnail, that was a weird movie. For those of you who may not have noticed my little reminder on YouTube, and not this background, we'll talk about that in a second. I saw a weird is a good way to describe it. The word that came to mind, and it's not really a word that I, Boss Hog, use a lot, but it just seemed appropriate for this particular movie. Trippy. Yeah, trippy. It sounds like something that Angela Rockstar would use more than me in terms of this show, right? The show we're talking about is Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, which won, what, 20 Academy Awards or something. Won a lot of Academy Awards, and I could kind of see that. It was when I first watched it, when I got done, it was kind of a head scratcher. It's like, yeah, I don't know if I liked it, if I disliked it, if I'm just intrigued by it. I really had to sit there and think about it for a little while, and then it started kind of growing on me a little bit. And very interesting. It's a little bit of a, I don't know, what is it? It's a little bit like The Matrix, in that there's a lot of sci-fi talk about reality and alternate realities and alternate worlds and all the different choices that you could make in life and how that affects you, and what happens if you know that in different lives you made different choices and had different results, and a lot of that kind of stuff. Do y'all remember? Most of y'all don't, because it was a while back, but there was an old TV show called Sliders, and it starred Jerry O'Connell. I don't know who else is in it, but Jerry O'Connell. And it was kind of like a quantum leap type thing, except this group of people were trying to get back to their own reality, but they kept leaping into alternate worlds. One world where Germany had won World War II, or where, I don't know, people all had green skin. I don't know. Yeah, all these different worlds they would land in. They'd have to try to figure out how to survive in this world. It reminded me a little bit of that. It was just a trippy movie. It really makes you think about all the choices that you make in life, good and bad, and in between, and where it leads you and everything else. And I'm sitting there thinking, the big decisions I made in my life. Yeah, the biggest, marrying my wife Sharon. I don't want any reality that doesn't involve that particular choice. But I also remember things like when I first got out of college, I couldn't get a job because the oil field was not doing well. And the Army came to me and they said, "Hey, we'd like to maybe bring you in, join the Army. We'll send you to language school, and then we'll do something with you after that. You'll be a language specialist. You'll speak it fluently, 100%. You won't even have an accent by the time we get done with you." Well, being petroleum engineering, they probably would have taught me Arabic or some Farsi, one of the languages in the Middle East. Who knows what? I may have been a spy at this point. Instead of going on Big Brother, I would have just been a spy running around the Middle East. My mom already thinks that I've been a spy for the last 30 years because of all the places I've been. So I'm not, at least not that I can say. But yeah, it was a cool movie. If you haven't seen it, I feel like I probably need to watch it a couple more times to pick up on a lot of stuff that I maybe didn't even notice the first time around. But you really have to be paying attention as well. It's not something that you can just kind of watch while you're doing other things. It was trippy. I'm just going to stick with trippy. Strange. But yeah, my little thumbnail reminder had me with a bunch of hot dog fingers. And if you haven't seen the movie, that sounds like the most weird, insane thing. And it is. But watch it, and then you'll understand what I'm talking about. It was just a weird movie. All right, what else do we have on here? I saw a few weird movies this week, and fun movies. Amanda Lowe saying, "I saw that Nicole is getting married." Well, yes, indeed. She's not the only one from my season of Big Brother, but yes, Nicole is getting married. I'm so excited. I've met and hung out with Nicole and her husband to be a few times. He's an incredible guy. So nice. I'd met him just a little bit online first, and I met him in real life as well. And so yeah, she's getting married. I don't know if she's released a date or anything, so I won't. I don't want to spoil anything. It's going to be next year, and I know they're looking for venues and all of that. And yeah, super excited for her. She deserves nothing but the best, and I think she's going to get it. They're going to be an incredible couple. So yeah, she's getting married. There's someone else from my season of Big Brother who also is getting married. I just saw over the past few days on Instagram, Jackson Mickey proposed to his girlfriend. I guess it's fiance now. I assume she said yes. If not, you wouldn't be posting on Instagram, right? So I'm sure she said yes. So it's so cool. I mean, we've got Christy from my season. She already got married. Nick has his girlfriend. He's got a baby at home. He's certainly pulling in or living the dad life now. Now you got Nicole getting married. You got Jackson Mickey getting married. See all these people that I spent that summer with in the house, and I see them all kind of hitting their milestones and moving to next steps. Everything. I love it. It's really cool. It's pretty neat. Now, what a segue that you should mention Nicole getting married, because did y'all know today, of all days, is National Proposal Day? Yeah, and we're not talking about proposing that you go do a business plan or something. Now we're talking about the proposals, the big thing, the down on one knee, present the ring, the bachelor, the who does the rings? I can't remember who the guys that does the rings for the bachelor, but y'all know what I'm talking about. We're talking about the most important proposal that any person can get or receive in their life. I think. I mean, some people, some people want to be married, some don't. But National Proposal Day, happy National Proposal Day to all who have been proposed to, who have proposed, or who look forward to it at some point on down the road. It's a pretty cool day, right? Sponsored by Zales or McKay Jewelers. I probably, but yeah, I figured I don't think I've done it here. I figured I'd tell y'all a little bit story about my own proposal to my wife to be. Once upon a time, while I was in graduate school, Sharon and I'd been dating for a year or two, a couple of years, something like that. And I decided that I was getting ready to get out of school, and I certainly didn't want to go somewhere else without her there by my side. So decided it was time to propose to Sharon. But figured I didn't want to do it. Now Ovi Kabir may say do it at a Waffle House, and that's a way to see if they really love you or not. Yeah, maybe. But I didn't want to do that, so I planned it all out. And here's what I did for my proposal. First thing I did is I picked Sharon up here in Houston and drove her down to Galveston, Texas. Hence the background here. This is one of the beaches in Galveston, Texas. You've got Houston, and then about 30 miles away is the actual ocean. And the Galveston is the big beach city that's there. It's a little island just offshore Texas. So Galveston has the ocean and all of that. So I picked up Sharon, drove her down to Galveston, found a particular beach that I'd noticed was never really that crowded. And sure enough, I show up and no one on the beach. Now, I got a little add to that in a second, but no one's on the beach. I had a folding card table in the back of the car. So I pull out the card table, set it up on the beach with a couple of folding chairs. I stopped right before we got there, ran into an Italian restaurant and got a big, I think it was spaghetti, some kind of pasta. I think it's spaghetti. Bought a big fancy meal and had a couple of glasses of wine and, tried to make it kind of romantic, sitting there on the beach while we had dinner together with the idea that, okay, we're going to eat dinner. And then when we get done, I'm going to propose to her, right? Well, we show up, I set everything up. I get the spaghetti out. I start setting all the food out. And I realized that, oh my gosh, I forgot silverware, and they didn't give me any silverware at all. So, not so romantic to be sitting there eating with your hands, right? Well, fortunately, here at the beach, you could run across the main road that's right by the beach. And there was a little convenience store there. And so I thought, all right, I'm going to run to the convenience store and get some silverware. Well, I run to this convenience store, probably not the absolute nicest part of town. A little bit of a rundown convenience store and all of that. And I walk in here with my engagement ring stuck in my pocket, and go in thinking, oh my gosh, yeah, this is a little interesting. I go inside. I ask them if they have some silverware. They say, yeah, over by the rolling hot dogs. So I go over and get some plastic forks and knives and all that, and head back. Sharon's there waiting for me, wondering what's going on. We sit down. We have dinner. Very nice. Remember how I mentioned there was no one on the beach that particular evening? Well, the reason was because they had just had a couple of days ahead of time not an oil rig. I think it was a tanker that had a puncture, and they had a huge oil spill out of this tanker that was coming into the port of Houston. So this huge oil slick was coming in towards the beaches. So of course, no one was at the beach because they were worried about getting oil all over them. No one there except for Sharon and I, and all the news trucks that were sitting up on this road with their cameras pointed into the ocean, into the beach, just waiting for that first oil slick to show up so they could be the first ones to show it. So it's Sharon, myself, a whole bunch of news crews, and a big oil spill coming in off the water, which I'm a petroleum engineer, so it seemed kind of apropos, right? I don't know. It didn't matter. It was still fun. It was still fantastic. We ate. I then took her out. You can kind of see over here, there's a jetty that goes out into the water. Took her out to the end of the jetty. So it was just us sitting there. By now it's dark. We're out in the sun setting and all of that. We're out there. I had a little radio with me with a cassette tapes. That's what they had before MP3s and Spotify and all that. And I played the Dixie Cups. Go into the chapel and we're gonna get married. One of Sharon's favorite songs. Played that, got down on one knee and asked her to marry me. And incredibly, she said yes. And my world hadn't been the same since. So there's my proposal story on my first promise to Sharon. That was, what was that? Well, I was going to say it wasn't 1990 because that's when we got married. So probably 1989 and 34 years later, we're still going strong. So yeah, it's so much fun. So happy National Proposal Day to everyone who, who's been part of it or who will be somewhere down the road. That's cool. One of my favorite memories. One of the memories I'll have on that day, 80 years from now, when I'm saying goodbye to this brave world and going elsewhere. There you go. All right, what else do we have going on? Vicky Stone on Big Brother. When picking names for veto competitions, when someone can pick their choice, has the same name ever been drawn? Let me read that again. On Big Brother, when picking names for veto, okay, when someone can pick their choice, has the same name ever. Oh, so if someone picks player's choice, pick someone, and then later you draw their name. I think it's feasible. If it happens, I don't remember it ever happening on my season. The few times where someone drew player's choice, they made their pick. We then didn't have, just random draw. We didn't have that person's name then show up again during any of the picks that I remember. But if it did happen, I have a feeling they would just edit that one out and just show the very next one. And you'd never know it on TV. There was a lot of editing that took place. I always talk about the fact in the diary room, places like that, it's not, and especially when you're in the house itself, it's not scripted. The conversations, when I'm sitting there strategizing or whatever, no one's telling me what to say or anything like that. I know there's people say, oh, this is all scripted. Nah, it's not. But when you're doing the ceremonies, this is the power of veto ceremony. As the whole owner of the veto, I can choose whether, all that stuff. It's that part they want you to read the same way over and over again. And so sometimes you have a little sheet that you read off of. Sometimes over the speakers, they read out a line, you say it, then they read out the next line and you say it. And then they edit it all together so you can't even tell. There were a few people, and I'm not throwing out any names, there were a few people that had a hard time repeating lines when you did it like that. One or two people, because they got the giggles and they just couldn't say it while they're sitting there staring at everyone. One or two people just, I don't know, that's the stress of the moment. They just couldn't really remember more than a few words at a time. I saw a little bit of each, but yeah, I think if that happens, you just, they just edit that part out. I've had people ask me before saying, "Are you sure? Do they try to manipulate the names by taking out some people or putting in extra chips for the people that they want to get picked?" And I've wondered the same thing because I watch a few competitions where it seems like the person who you absolutely don't want to get picked for veto, or the person who absolutely you want to get picked, they do. I mean, it's amazing how coincidental, how sometimes those picks absolutely add to the drama that's going on. So I've had people ask that. I wondered about it before I went in the house. During our season, Nicole and Holly never got picked for veto competition. I think Nicole got picked on the very first veto comp. And then I don't think she got picked again until we were down to the final six where there was no picking involved. Everyone competed in it. So she had the worst luck. Holly didn't have much better success getting picked. So I do remember one time we went in. When you get done with the veto, you carry it into the storage room and leave it in there, and some little ghost carries it away later. But I remember, or the veto pick, I remember we looked in there to make sure that everyone had a chip in there. They did. Their names were right there. There's no reason they couldn't have been picked. It's just one of those things. It's so we're talking about choices, chances, and all of that from that movie. The final four competition, when it was Mickey and Holly and Nicole and myself, they went around with a bag. Jackson did. Went around with a bag, and you drew a number out of the bag to see the order that you were going to compete in that veto competition. Nicole got number 1. I got number 2. Holly got number 3. Mickey got number 4. When we did that competition, it was brutally hot when Nicole and I did, because the sun was directly overhead. By the time it was Mickey's turn, the sun had set off to the side. It was probably 20 degrees cooler. So much easier to do that competition because it was a hard competition. And I, to this day, absolutely stand by and believe if Nicole had gone last and Mickey would have gone first, I think she would have beat him, because she only got beat by a minute or half or so. And I think the heat difference made that difference. So something as tiny as a random draw of the order of competition could have changed the whole outcome of Big Brother 21. I'll stand by that. I got no way to prove it because this isn't a multiverse, or at least I don't have the power to do it. But hey, it's weird. The tiniest little chances, things happen, completely changes lives and paths and everything. Just embrace it. Whichever way that path takes you, enjoy the trip, enjoy the journey, and embrace it. All right, what else do we have on here? Vicky saying, "You were such a romantic, spaghetti like Lady and the Tramp." Yeah, we should have gotten one of those long strands and done a. Well, I don't remember that we did that, but it's all right. Yeah, I try to be romantic. I'd like to think that I got a little romantic in me when not when I want to or when I need to. I love her. It makes it a lot easier to be a romantic. All right. Phil Nezamuddin. Am I saying that right, Phil? Nezamuddin. Correct me if I didn't. Saying, "Are you watching Australian Survivor? Has me frustrated." No, but I kind of wish I was, because I've seen so many posts on Twitter about it, and people seem so excited about Australian Survivor. So I should, and I probably can go out there and find it, and maybe I will. I'm trying to avoid, because I've heard so many people talking so much good about it. As a result, I'm really trying to avoid seeing anything that may be a spoiler, with the assumption that I will go out there and watch it. It's funny. I kind of got a little soured on Australian Survivor because we had a viewing party a couple of years ago, I guess, here in Houston. And I think it was the Winners at War season, maybe. And Russell Hantz was there, amongst other, Car Boudreaux and Karishma Patel and a few others. But Russell was there, and Russell competed in Australian Survivor. He didn't do that well. And funniest thing, suddenly, because he didn't do that well, he really was critical of Survivor Australia, saying, "Oh, it's not really Survivor. They give you toilet paper and there's bathrooms, and you're not really trying to survive. It's too much about the competitions, not enough about survival." He wasn't real happy with the experience, and because of that, I always just thought, "Oh, well, it's not as authentic as the one over here." Well, maybe I don't care. If there's some really strong gameplay going on, which it seems like there is with this season, I don't really care at this point in time. I liked when they were just having to survive on a handful of rice and all that, but I feel like even our version of Survivor, they've backed off of that. I think they got worried that people were actually going to have medical issues, not eating any more than they were out there. So I feel like even over here, there's much more focus on the strategy and on those veto fines and the immunity competitions and all that, right? You don't see it like the early days where it was all new and you were watching them just get to be skin and bones and all that. If you want to watch that, watch Naked and Afraid and a few of these other shows, because there's some out there like it. But now I want to watch Australian Survivor. Just haven't done that. I've watched some of the Australian Big Brother shows, which is a little different than ours here in the States or up in Canada. But I enjoyed it. And I actually know some of the Australian competitors. I've talked to them online and things like that, which is kind of cool. But yeah, I need to watch it, so I'm going to try to do that. Speaking of Big Brother Canada, are y'all watching it? Are you into it? Not so much. I got to say, I didn't realize how much not having these live feeds affects my enjoyment of it, even when I'm not watching the live feeds. At least when the live feeds were on, I could read other people giving recaps. Spend 15, 20 minutes reading through a web page talking about what happened over the last 24 hours. And I could feel like I was up to speed on what's happening inside the house. I'm not getting that anymore. Now I've watched all the episodes up to episode 5, I think. So yeah, I'm watching what happens, but just an hour at a time, an hour 3 times a week. It's just not enough to really get me invested in the people who are playing the game. I don't have the same emotional love, hate, whatever. You see people and you're like, oh God, I can't stand that person, or oh, I want this person to do so well. I don't have any of it. They all seem like nice people, but I don't really. There's no one in there that I'm just like, oh my gosh, they've got to do well, or oh, I got to see that person gone. And I think part of that is the feeds. Now, having said all that, there are a few people in there that have been interesting to watch, even for the first few episodes. There's a guy named Zach who feels like he is the Big Brother CEO. He thinks he's controlling the whole house. He tends to be a little. I'm just saying, he's probably a nice guy. I'm not holding anything against him in the real world. Somewhere down the road, I'll probably meet him and it'll be fine. But it seems a little condescending sometimes in the way he talks to a few of the people, especially one or two of the women in the house. So never saw that before. I've never seen anyone do that inside a Big Brother house, right? But yeah, he's interesting to watch. There's a woman named Claudia. I'm kind of cheering her on, excited to see how she does. A guy named Ty. But there's a big. I'm not going to go into spoilers too much, but yeah, I can still talk. It seems like there's really kind of a bro alliance forming. All the big alpha male kind of guys seem like they just continue to kind of not hook up. Let me take that. Let me walk that back. A bunch of the bros all getting together. Let me walk that back. All aligning together and supporting each other. And they act like no one else can notice it. When I was in my house for my season, it was so easy to see who that Grateful Eight group getting together. They thought they were so sneaky. When you hang out with each other all day long, even if you aren't talking strategy, it's obvious that you enjoy hanging out and that you're part of a group when you do that. For any of you guys who may be going on future seasons of Big Brother, it's not enough just to hang out and not talk strategy. You need to go hang out with people that you have no alliances with. Spend time with them as well. Make sure you don't spend too much time with the people that you're connected to, regardless of what you're talking about. Because when you see the same people in the same rooms, or even in my case, in my season, they didn't even have to spend that much time together. But when they did spend time together and they're laughing at each other's jokes and they're hugging on each other and they've got these inside jokes and nicknames for each other, they're working together. And I think to some degree that's happening up in Big Brother Canada. Some of the ladies in the house, they see these guys all working out together. Yeah, I feel like you could work out together and people say, it's just the guys all working out. Maybe, but you still notice it. It's still bonding moments. And they've noticed it. And the guys are all like, oh, we aren't alliance. Why would you think that? Well, it's because you hang out together all the time. But now I'm enjoying Big Brother Canada, but without the live feeds, it just doesn't quite feel like Big Brother. And we'll see. Thank God they're not changing them here in the States. Now, I will say this. The last HOH competition they had on the last episode, they have some fun HOH competitions. Y'all, in our season, we had slip and slide where you run back and forth on the Crisco coated floor and you're slipping everywhere. You're trying to fill up a container with liquid. It's cool. I mean, it's a staple. It's iconic for Big Brother. I'm glad I was one of the people who got to do it. As soon as I saw it, I was like, yeah, you're not going to win this one. I knew that, but it's still fun to do it. The HOH competition they had up there was kind of neat in Canada because you're up on a slide and everyone has balls specific to you, different color, name on it. You have to grab one of these balls at the bottom, run up the steps, get to the top of these slides, slide down the slide and throw your ball up in the air. And there's different size funnels with different points. So if your ball goes in one of these funnels, you get that many points. They do it for an hour. Whoever has the most points wins. I'm not going to spoil it on who won since they haven't shown it on the episode yet. But that's kind of cool. I mean, it's the same kind of endurance that you're going around and around and around and all, but just a little different. I really like the people who come up with the games and the challenges up in Canada. I think they're, I love the iconic competitions here, Big Brother US, where you see the wall. Every single year, you've got the wall, the slip and slide, OTAP. I'm not saying get rid of them, but I feel like sometimes Big Brother Canada kind of changes things up just a little bit and has a little more variety sometimes. And I enjoyed that. So yeah, it's been kind of cool. I just want the live feeds. All right. Brian Hostler. Hey, Brian, how are you? Have you listened to Jeff Probst's new podcast? No, I have not. I'd like to. That guy's got to have a lot of insight, right? I like Julie Chen. I'm not going to say anything against her. She's host of Big Brother and all that. But the fact that Jeff Probst is actually out on the island, he steers the conversations at Tribal Council. Julie, she doesn't have anything to do with us while we're casting our votes other than just saying, who do you vote to evict? That and then the exit interviews. But Jeff Probst is actually out there saying, hey, why'd you do this? Or are you worried about this? There's a little more interaction with Jeff Probst as opposed to other reality shows. And I love it. That guy's, he's had to see more than anyone else and recognize more than anyone else, right? So yeah, I'd like to get his insights. And I need to. I've been too busy listening to the podcast for The Last of Us, try and get caught up on that. But yeah, I'd love to meet Jeff Probst one of these days. Just thank him for what he does, because it's brought so much joy to myself, to my family, to so many other people that are involved with reality TV and Survivor and everything else. Can you picture once upon a time back in the year 2000, he was just some other guy trying to get the next gig for his acting career. I wonder if when he got Survivor, if they said, all right, Jeff, we're gonna give you a shot. Yeah, why don't you go ahead and give it a shot and see if you can do this thing? He had to be sitting there thinking, maybe this goes somewhere. But I bet not in a million years did he think this was going to turn into the granddaddy of reality TV, that everyone, even people who don't watch reality TV, probably know who Jeff Probst is, right? And now he's not just the host. I think he's the executive producer. He has a say on who is cast. In fact, I've always heard you can have the entire casting crew absolutely on board with you. Thinks, you're going to be the best thing since sliced bread to go on the Survivor Island. You're going to be fantastic. If Jeff Probst doesn't like you, that's it. You're not going on that island. You got to pass he's kind of the final check mark, I guess. So yeah, it's what I've heard. I don't know that for certain, but certainly if I ever meet Jeff Probst, I'm going to be very nice, very polite, and very gracious in everything I say to him, because you never know, right? Yeah. No, I haven't, but I want to listen to this podcast. I need to. All right, Marion saying, hi. Hey, Mary, how are you? Hi, is there anywhere you can hide in the Big Brother house? Yeah, not for long. I'm trying to think if there was anywhere where there weren't cameras. I guess under the bed. I mean, yeah, you could get under the bed theoretically. And don't think that I didn't consider. I actually did think about some of the conversations that were taking place up in the HOH room. No one ever checked anywhere in that HOH room. Well, I say that they'd go in and they check the bathroom, the shower, places like that. But I always thought, I could probably crawl under this bed. No one's going to think I'm hiding under a bed, right? And the reason I say that, we crawled under the bed one time when Nicole, it was during prank week, and Nicole had got called to the diary room, and I think they were kind of making fun of her being so scared of the clowns. Well, while she was in the diary room, we all went upstairs and hid in the HOH room, just so when she came out, there was no one there. Kind of cruel, but she was fine. We were having fun with it. But I remember maybe Nick, I can't remember, one or two people crawled underneath the HOH bed. And when Nicole came in, she noticed someone's foot sticking out. So that's how come she knew we were in there. But it really got me to thinking when I saw that. I thought, I could crawl under this bed. And as long as it's not so boring that I fall asleep and start snoring, I could probably hear all kinds of conversations that I'm not meant to hear and maybe get some really good information. And I thought about it, but there's two reasons I didn't do it. One is because there are too many people hooking up, and I can't think of anything more awkward and more uncomfortable than being trapped underneath the HOH bed when there's people up above. They're getting a little friendlier than I want them to necessarily want to be listening in on. So that was part of my concern. The other part of my concern was that as much information as I get from hiding under this bed, what if I'm discovered? What if right in the middle of some conversation, Big Brother says, Cliff, come to the diary room? What am I going to do? Except just knock on the top of the bed, say, hey guys, sorry, but I got to. Yeah, that would have been awkward. And my fear was that if I hid under that bed and I got caught for whatever reason, that'd be the end of it. At that point, everyone else in that house would say, you're out of here. You're gone. That's it. We don't need anything else. You were evicted based on that alone. And I just wasn't willing to take that chance to do it. So yeah, you could do that. Now, the other places that you could hide in the shower. The shower up in the HOH room was the one place. There were cameras in the bathroom, in the area where the sink is and where the bathtub used to be. There were cameras there, but you could put up towels over the shower door and have a certain amount of privacy, which people during my season took advantage of a few times, but you could hide there. But in terms of hiding to hear gossip and all that, not that easy to do. Now, I'll give y'all one additional little hiding spot that no one ever thought of, but Kimmy discovered it. And it was the week that Kimmy was on the block, and she got a little stressed out at time at one point, just didn't want to talk to anyone. And back then, there were so many people in the house. You couldn't find privacy anywhere because there were, 15 of us in the house at that point in time when Kimmy was on the block. So no privacy. Well, Kimmy wanted to be alone for a minute. She finally realized that she could ring the bell to go into the diary room, but not actually go into the diary room. The door opened up, so she went into that little hallway. Whenever we vote on the live episodes, you see us walking down the hallway, right? Well, that's what she did. She came in the outside door, but then she didn't actually go on into the diary room itself. And she found a little spot, I think at the far end of the hallway where the camera is right up over her head, and she couldn't be seen. And she was there squeezed up against the wall just to get away from everyone, just knowing that there was no one that could come in on her and say anything. And I remember Big Brother saying, look around, can y'all find Kimmy? And I think Big Brother lost track of her as well. Eventually, somehow they found her, or she came out, or whatever. But we were astounded. It's like, how do you hide? How do you play hide and seek when there's a camera everywhere? And hide, so even Big Brother is asking where Kimmy is. She discovered it. She was smart. She found it. So yeah, there, I guess you can hide there. I don't think Big Brother's real happy when you do something like that, but people stressed out. I think they understood that she was under some stress. She wanted to get away. Everyone has times during that season, during that show, where you just don't want to have people coming up and saying, are you okay? Can I do anything? Have you thought about it? Just leave me alone. Just stop. Let me have my own moments for myself. And that's what she did. So yeah, a few hiding places. Brenda Barton saying, are you doing the world challenge? Me personally? Nah. Yeah, I know what you're saying. I think I know what you're saying. The US challenge, or the challenge, world challenge with the USA versus UK, Australia, and Argentina, right? No, I'm not. Gotta say, I'm a little bit chapped because I watched the first episode or two on MTV. It's like, oh, okay, I'm gonna cheer on Sarah and Danny and the people I saw from the USA challenge a while back that was on CBS. So I watched the first episode or so, and then it disappeared. And I found out it's on Paramount Plus, which I took a little break from Paramount Plus. Cancel for a little bit, because if I cancel for a little bit, then when it comes back, I usually can get a discount. And I won't. Obviously, I'm gonna have it during Big Brother season, so I took a little break from Paramount Plus. So now, yeah, now I don't have access to it. I am sure I can go out and find websites and watch it and see, and maybe I will a little bit later. But it seems like the challenge is a little bit like Survivor. They have so many seasons every year, 2, 3 seasons. I just got through watching a season that seemed like it lasted for 50 episodes or so. It seems like. And I know there'll be another one come up here pretty quick. So yeah, no, I just took a little break from the challenge. And the other part of it too is, I mean, nothing against the people who are on that world challenge, but they are a lot more, not so much now. The episodes that were on CBS were a lot of reality TV people, a lot of people from Big Brother and from Survivor and all the reality shows there on CBS, and not so much the people who have been playing the challenge forever and ever. So it was a little bit of a gap, or a little bit of a disconnect between the people you always see versus this particular season. Now, I know that this season, some of the regular challenge folks are coming in as well. But yeah, I haven't seen it yet. I'll get around to it. So many things I need to get around to, right? And at this rate, I'm going to live to be 180, because that's how long it's going to take for me to keep up and watch all my reality TV. Of course, who knows, when I'm 180, who knows what kind of reality TV we're going to have then. It's all going to be virtual reality, holograms. You'll be right in the middle of the thing watching the action. You'll look around everywhere to see, forget the cameras. You'll be right there in the Big Brother house watching. Won't that be cool? Maybe, maybe not. All right, Ma. What is your stance on sit-out rules? Are you talking about with regards to the Survivor? Maybe. I know there was a little bit of a discussion. I don't want to give too many spoilers about Survivor, because I know so many people watch it. But a lot of times, if you've got unbalanced tribes, people have to sit out. And most seasons, it rotates. Different person is sitting out every time, based maybe on what their skill sets are and everything else. Well, this season we had one contestant who set out 3 challenges in a row, 3 competitions. I get what she said, that she actually was sacrificing somewhat because she knows that there's other people who could do it better, and she was willing to sit out and not take the chance to prove herself just so her team would be that much stronger. On the face of it, in the real world, if someone's going to do that, I get it, I appreciate it, and that's a very positive stance to take, that it's all about the team rather than myself. But it feels a little bit like being on a football team where the coach says, I need someone to go in and take the quarterback's place or whatever, or I need someone to go in and take the place of that guy who's injured. If you think that you aren't capable of doing it, if you think there's a whole lot of people around you that are better suited to go in and substitute for that injured player, you may be doing it, and you may be thinking about the team and saying, this person's going to catch that ball better than I can. You may be thinking about the team, but that's also telling me that you maybe don't have enough confidence in your ability to deserve to be there in the first place. To some degree, I think every person that plays Survivor, Big Brother, The Challenge, they should be sitting there every single episode and saying, put me in, coach. I'm ready. Let me show you what I got. Now, the reality is, sometimes you don't. Sometimes in Big Brother, people throw challenges. Sometimes they're happy they didn't get picked. Same with Survivor, others. And that's okay, because there is a strategy component to playing it. But if you make it too obvious, I think you really are running a huge risk. Because if for no other reason, even if it works for you, if you get to that final tribal council, if you get to the final vote in Big Brother, people are going to call you out, right? They're going to say, you didn't even compete in half the challenges. Why should we give you the money? So I feel like you're kind of doing yourself a disservice by not volunteering wherever you can. And you better think and you better hope that you're good enough to be able to compete, that you are going to be able to contribute. If you don't think you can contribute, then I think you're taking a lot of risk. So maybe I hope that's what you're talking about, Ma. Ask about, because I spent a lot of time talking about it. My stance is that you're taking your life into your own hands when you're not there willing and volunteering every step of the way. Now, we saw that in the very first episode with Carson, where they had to solve a puzzle. And Carson didn't want to necessarily volunteer that, oh, I'm the puzzle master. Because then if you can't do it, you look like a doofus, right? So he didn't really want to volunteer, but he wanted them to pick him. And he was happy that they picked him. I think that's the same way it needs to be. Yeah. Maybe you don't always have to be the person raising your hand the highest and being the loudest to volunteer, but you need people to think that you're willing if they need you to go in. And I'm not sure people always think that when you sit out every single competition. Just my thought. All right, Wyatt Garrett going to see Win Williams on Friday at Texas Live and Chris Young at Billy Bob's on Saturday. Man, you got so many shows that you see. I envy you. It's God, a lot of shows that you see. That's pretty cool. They had the rodeo down here, and we just, for a variety of reasons, work and everything else, we never got over to the rodeo to seeing the people performing here. I've seen a lot of them over the years, and yeah, and I love live music. I love live music. It's smaller venues, even if it's not necessarily someone that's a huge star or whatever. I kind of like the intimacy of the smaller settings. Back when I was in college, we had a few bars there in College Station that had some people performing. I love it. It's from College Station. Robert Earl King, from an Aggie from College Station as well. So we had some folks from A&M, but then we also had over in Austin, 6th Street, which was a huge music row. And it was so cool sometimes just wandering into different bars, and there'd be some band playing. Didn't even know who it was, but just getting in there and seeing the band. Some of the blues bands over there were amazing. I like those small settings. Now, I'm not sure Billy Bob's or Texas Live are considered small settings, but it's still different than an arena tour, being at the stadium where you got 80,000 people, right? I like the smaller setup. So one of these days, I'm going to start doing a little bit more of that. That's pretty cool. And you see them all. Man, why you see so many of them. All right, Vicky saying, would you do Survivor, and did Mickey cheat when on Have-Nots? All right, first of all, Survivor, yeah, I'd do it. They got to call me. I don't necessarily have the hotline number to casting or anything else, but yeah, if they want me to do Survivor, I actually would do pretty well in Survivor. I think the relationship, the working, the strategy, I think I've got some of that figured out. I feel comfortable. I would do okay on working out the alliances and all that. I'm a strong swimmer. I may be older than a lot of people on that show, but I've been a strong swimmer all my life. I've been a dad, so I've carried 400 pounds worth of car seats and luggage and everything else for many decades of my life. So yeah, I could be the pack mule carrying a bunch of the heavy supplies and stuff that you always say. Some of those challenges where they got those big old blocks or pulling in the heavy stuff. I can do that without a whole lot of worries. I can do the swimming. So yeah, I feel now digging through the sand and going under a log or anything. You may need a little extra clearance for me as compared to some of the folks there on there. So I got my limitations as well. But yeah, I would do Survivor if they ask. It'd be a lot of fun. So yeah, CBS, give me a call. As far as your other question, did Mickey cheat when he was a have-not? I had no clue. No clue whatsoever that was even a controversy until I got out of the house and I had people mention it to me. I didn't know. And as far as I remember, I don't really remember a lot of conversation. I heard a few people say things like they felt like Mickey was still standing in front of the refrigerator on his have-nots and spending a lot of time in front of the refrigerator, considering that he couldn't eat much that was in there. So there's kind of whisper here or there while I was inside the house. But as far as like eating in the shower and all that, I knew less than anyone else. And the reason being was the week that he was a have-not, I was upstairs in the HOH room because that was the week that I won HOH. So I was upstairs, so I wasn't showering downstairs in the main bathroom. I never showered up in the HOH room until I won HOH because I felt like it had to be special. If I'd never won HOH, I never would have showered up there because I wanted it to be super special the first time I got to enjoy that shower. So which means once I won HOH, man, all my showers I took up there. And then afterwards, even if I wasn't HOH, I would shower up there when I could. But yeah, because of that, I wasn't downstairs in the bathroom, so I didn't know any of it. Are you asking me, do I think he cheated during it? I'm not going to say yes because I don't know firsthand. Do I think he would have done it? Would he be willing to have cheated? Yeah, I think it's probably very likely that he did that. And if that's the case, it kind of chaps me they didn't get called out for it and all that. But what can you do? I didn't find out until after the fact. So it's not like I could go in and complain to the diary room because I didn't know at the time. But yeah, it probably happened. It's my guess. 7:53. All right. REM. REM or REM? Let's see. Who would you align with on Big Brother Canada? Oh, I don't know. Dan, maybe, or Ty, are two that, of course, these are kind of some of the bro guys, but I came in and said even when I did my season, I was going to find kind of a bro alpha guy and try to promote myself as a loyal soldier and let him kind of be my meat shield in front of other people. And I probably would do the same thing in Big Brother Canada. I'd take one or two of those strong guys that are going to have the targets on their backs and just kind of hang out with them a little bit and hope that I could provide some intel and everything to protect them in exchange for them protecting me. But if the ladies or other people wanted to go after those groups, John Michael was in the house, was saying, if I get HOH, I'm going to go after the guys. First of all, don't ever say that. Why in the world would you say that unless you absolutely have the power? And even then, don't say it because it just creates a target. But he said it, and I think if I went in and aligned with some of those alpha guys, he wouldn't be talking about me. He'd be talking about those guys first. So I would have some protection from that side. So that's probably who I would align with. But at the end of the day, I cheer for the underdogs. And so I would end up finding one or two of the people in the house. And I don't know just yet just who that is. One or two of the people who just aren't quite in the bigger group, feeling a little distant and everything. And that's probably who I would end up lining with and saying, let's flip this thing. We almost did it during my season. That's probably what I'd do in Big Brother Canada as well. All right. Cindy saying, do the traders. I'd love to do the traders. I'd do the traders a lot more before I did the circle. I'd have fun doing the traders. I think there's a lot more to the strategy of the traders that we haven't even seen discovered yet. I got some ideas. We'll talk about that one of these times. I know I'm running out of time, but I think people are way too focused at the beginning of that game on who's a trader and who's not. Who cares at the first? At the first part of that show, it's not about who is or isn't a trader. It's about what can I do to protect myself. And if that means aligning with some traders, aligning with some faithful people, whatever. You know, we'll deal with the traders later. For right now, for the first half of the season, just make promises and relationships with anyone and let the other people go home. And then you can start figuring out, once you've got 4 or 5 votes in hand, then you can start figuring out maybe who you think the trader is and everything. At the first, it's just throwing darts. So just protect yourself. Don't worry about that. I think there's strategy to be said that hadn't been identified yet, or at least we don't see so much. So, yeah, that'd be fun to be on the traders. I'd like to see that. Fred Benson saying, have they announced the premiere date for Big Brother 25 starring Cliff Hogg? Yeah, I'm packing my bags right now. Someone's going to take that little clip and post it on online, and I'm going to be in trouble. Now, I don't know. I haven't seen it yet. It seems like nowadays it starts just a little after the 4th of July, right? My season, it started middle of June, it seems like June 20th, somewhere right around there. But I feel like the last couple of seasons, they've bumped it back just a little bit, either because of COVID protocols or I don't know, just a bunch of stuff. A little bit shorter seasons. My season was 99 days. I think the last few seasons have been more like 80 or so, or something like that. So yeah, I don't know. I assume midsummer is when it's going to start, but I don't think they've made the announcement yet. I know the casting is going on, so if you haven't sent in your video, do so. But yeah, I don't think they've announced it yet. I'm ready for it. The most wonderful time of the year, right? All right. Speaking of reality shows, I want to throw this out. Maybe we'll talk a little bit more about it in one of these later weeks. I've got a new reality show for y'all. If you haven't seen it, and it's on Netflix. So if you have Netflix, check out. It's called now I can't remember what it's called. Outlast. Check out Outlast. It's like I don't know. It's like Alone. If you watch that. or Survivor meets Hunger Games, because they start off with 16 people on just this desolate land in Alaska, cold. They're right there on a river, just freezing cold. But starting off with 16 people, they're all playing for $1 million. But here's the rules. The rule: you can't win the thing by yourself. They're starting off broken up into 4 separate teams that they had to pick themselves. But you only win as a team. If you're by yourself, you got to find some other team that'll take you in. Because only a team's going to win the $1 million and then split the money. But beyond that, no one gets voted off the island. No one gets evicted. You stay as long as you're willing to stay until, I guess, they get to the end. And I don't know if there's a set date or it's till they finally only have one team left. But you stay until you can't stand it anymore. Once you've had enough, you fire a flare, they take you away, and that's the end of your game. Whoever's left at the end that's on a team wins their share of $1 million. I mentioned that's the rule, right? That's the only rule, as near as I can tell. I've only watched the first few episodes, but apparently there are no rules in terms of what you can do. You can sneak into other people's camps and steal their stuff. You can burn their camp down. You can do whatever you want, short of, I guess, murdering them or poisoning their food. You maybe even do that. Probably not. That probably wouldn't be good TV. That'd be good TV, but maybe not so great for the long-term program. But apparently there's no rules. So picture Survivor, where all the tribes are pretty close to each other, and you can just go grab their fishing gear. You can go sabotage their boats or, hide immunity idols that are fake and all. There's no rules. It's Lord of the Flies. It's survival of the fittest, the most devious, the most, maybe not violent, but y'all know what I mean, right? I've only seen the first few episodes. I wanted to see more. It got too late. I had to stop, but check it out. It's called Outlast. It's on Netflix. I think it's only 8 episodes. So 8 hours worth of your time, 6 hours or so, but it's pretty cool. I've enjoyed it so far. So there's my little tease for you on that. All right. There was there was another movie I saw. I'll save it for next week because we don't have time for it. It is 8 o'clock. Guys, y'all have welcome to the springtime, right? Have a fantastic spring. Enjoy the nice weather. Ma, only 2 weeks to go. Yeah, you'll be there before you know it. Guys, thank you so much. As I said at the very beginning, if you haven't already done so, please go out, subscribe to my channel, turn on the notifications. And if you've already subscribed, you can still go out there and hit the thumbs up. I appreciate that. I don't know what that does to my algorithms and all that, but it gives me a warm fuzzy. So I appreciate that. Y'all have a great week. I'll be back next Monday for episode 121. It's 11 squared for those of you mathematically minded. Episode 11 squared. Y'all have a great one. Until then, guys, SKD 143. Cheers, my friend. Oh, one more thing. March 29th, Survivor viewing party. What is that? That's a week and 2 days from now. So if y'all are in the Texas area, the Houston, San Antonio, Austin, I don't know how far you want to drive for a viewing party, but come on down. It's going to be me and Karishma and Cara Boudreaux and Romeo and Jackson Fox. I don't even know who all we're going to have there. We're going to have a lot of Survivor folks, 1 or 2 Big Brothers as well. Come in and watch Survivor with us. It's always so much fun hanging with those guys and hearing their insight. Guys, you have a great Monday. I'll see you next Monday. Until then, SKD 143. Cheers, my friends. Happy spring. Enjoy the hopefully nice weather. Y'all have a great one. See y'all later, guys.